Alright guys, I'm really excited to bring y'all this video. This was brought to you by Johnny C on Patreon. He asked this question in one of our Dynasty League chats, and I really love the question, and I hadn't really thought about it, haven't put too much research into it, but I thought it was a great discussion point, and I was definitely going to dive into it in this video. But before that, if you want to play into Dynasty Fantasy Football with not only myself, but with other listeners of the show, make sure you go down, join the Discord chat. That's where all the league chats are going to be. That's where, even if you don't want to be in a Dynasty League with us, go join the Discord, because that's where all the Dynasty discussion is. If you have a trade question, you could shoot it in there. You can bounce ideas off people, argue about Dynasty trades, argue about player value. Really, if you want to talk Dynasty Fantasy Football, there is not a better place to be than in that Discord chat. So make sure you go down there. I think we are closing in on like 350 members. By the time you're watching this video, may have already passed it, but a lot of great discussion going on in there. Make sure you go join. And if you want to be in Dynasty League, message me from there. But we're going to jump right into it, and we're going to talk about every wide receiver that is being mocked in the first round of the NFL draft right now. And I'm using the website Grinding the Mocks to look at this. Essentially, Scott showed it to me, and they take a bunch of mock drafts from all over the internet, and they average them out to kind of give you a clear consensus ranking of where these players are being mocked. And I mean, obviously they're just mock drafts, so they don't mean everything, but it gives us an idea of where we think these players may go in the NFL draft. So there are currently, I believe, 6, maybe 7 wide receivers that are projected to go in the first round as of now. I'm going to cover every single one. I'm going to cover what range they're supposed to go in, what some good landing spots would be for them at that range, and what some bad landing spots would be. Of course, this isn't for their NFL value. This is for their fantasy football value, because that's what matters. We want to see points. So we're going to start with Judy and Cd Lam. Now, in my opinion, if we look at these two players, their prototypes, very similar. They're both going to be target hogs. We both want these wide receivers to turn into fantasy football wide receiver ones. Both of them can really play all over the field. Neither of them are going to be locked down to say you can only stretch the field, you can only play in the slot. They can move all over the field, and that's exactly what offensive coordinators are looking for today in the NFL. So right now, CeeDee Lamb is being mocked at pick 11, and Jerry Jeudy is being mocked at pick 12. Now keep in mind, this is an average. So sometimes people are taking CeeDee Lamb at 8, sometimes he's falling to 16. It's just pick 11 is where the average falls. So we're going to look at every team around that range. So first off, I'm going to go through 3 good landing spots for both of these wide receivers, because I think they prototype very similar. So I think we're going to look at the landing spots in kind of the same light. And what we're looking for in these landing spots is we want a team that doesn't necessarily have a lot of weapons. We want these wide receivers to come in, step in, and be the wide receiver one on this team. It doesn't necessarily matter the quarterback play. Of course, a better quarterback would help, but what we want for these players is the volume to be available, because if they get the volume, I believe they are talented enough to be efficient with the volume, and they're going to be able to do good things with it. So Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, 3 good landing spots in my opinion are the Jags at pick 9 or pick 20. Obviously, their quarterback situation is not fully solved. I know a lot of people love Gardner Minshew, but if you look at historical hit rates, Gardner Minshew, he may have been good his rookie year, but he's not going to last in the NFL. If I had to bet against that profile, I would do it 10 out of 10 times, but it doesn't really matter. They don't really have anybody in that passing game. They have D.D. Westbrook, Chris Conley, Keelan Cole, and a couple tight ends. So I think a landing spot here would be fantastic. Even if they don't throw the ball that much, I think that they would step in and be able to be the wide receiver one on this team. Very similar, we have the New York Jets. They don't really have an established wide receiver one. They have Jamison Crowder in the slot. They just signed Brashad Perriman to stretch the field. I think either one of these wide receivers could step in, be the wide receiver one there. And then a very, very likely scenario, in my opinion, is the Las Vegas Raiders at either pick 12 or pick 19. I think the Raiders have a massive hole at wide receiver. I think John Gruden would love to go out and take one of these guys. Now, let's look at 3 bad landing spots, and obviously there are a ton of bad landing spots, but I'm going to just kind of keep it to the possible outcomes, I think. And the first possible outcome is the 49ers at pick 13. After they acquired this pick from the Colts, I actually see a lot of mocks have them taking a wide receiver, which I would absolutely hate. They already have Deebo Samuel. They did lose Emmanuel Sanders, but I believe that Jalen Hurd is going to be able to take in that spot. And the worst thing about this landing spot is George Kittle will always be the number 1 on that team. So for CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy, I don't think they'll necessarily get the volume to be a wide receiver 1 in San Francisco. Now, second spot, this one's a little less likely, but the Arizona Cardinals at 8. I was extremely excited about this potential landing spot until they snagged DeAndre Hopkins. But we know Cliff Kingsbury, what he loves is he doesn't really care about O-line play. He loves having weapons around his quarterback because his quarterback's going to get the ball out so quickly. He wants to have 4 wide receivers on the field at all times. So it is possible that they determine wide receiver is their most important position when it comes to their individual scheme, and they take Jerry Jeudy or CD Lamb here, and I would absolutely hate that for either one of their values. Now, the worst spot for both of these players, in my opinion, I mean, it's very likely I see a lot of mocks taking them here, and it doesn't really make much sense for me because they have Noah Fant, they have Courtland Sutton, both players really able to take up targets, and I think this is a team that wants to run the ball more than they want to throw it with the addition of Melvin Gordon to an already good backfield with Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman. So if they land in Denver at 15, not only is it going to kill Noah Fant's value, kill Courtland Sutton's value, but it's going to kill CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy. Both of their values will drastically go down. Now, the third wide receiver being mocked off the board, in my opinion, he could be the first wide receiver taken in the NFL draft, is Henry Ruggs at spot 15. Now, looking at this range, it's really interesting because whenever you look at the Henry Ruggs prototype, the thing with him is he's the exact opposite of CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy. He doesn't necessarily need the volume. He's never going to get the volume no matter what offense he's on. What we need is a great quarterback to really be able to give him the ball and let him be efficient with his downfield playmaking ability. So if we look at the teams around pick 15, I don't really care about the current wide receivers that they have on the roster. I don't care what the competition is, but I want the quarterback to be accurate, and I want the quarterback to be able to get the ball down the field. So really, at pick 15, I only see 2 teams that stand out to me. That is the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. Cowboys are picking at 17. Philly's picking at 21. And honestly, I doubt Ruggs makes it this long in the NFL draft just because we know every single team wants that next Tyreek Hill. They want that speed because they can't teach speed. They can teach route running, they can teach footwork, but speed is something that just comes naturally, so they're going to reach on it in the NFL draft. So this is not looking good for Henry Ruggs, in my opinion, because if we look at the other wide receiver needy teams in this range, their quarterback situations I don't really like. We have the Jaguars, which, keep in mind, I said that these landing spots were good for CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy, but it's because the wide receiver position in today's NFL, it's not one position. Guys prototype as different players. They're going to be running different routes, and they're going to be seeing different targets. It's just 2 completely different things. So Henry Ruggs, while Jacksonville, New York, Las Vegas, and Miami may have been good spots for CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy, I would hate to see Ruggs there because I think he needs a good quarterback to be paired with. Now let's go down and Justin Jefferson at 18 overall. Now this is a player that I am extremely excited about. He's very similar to CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy for me. I think he can play anywhere on the field. He is especially great in the slot, and I think that he's a player that if he gets the volume, he's going to be productive with it no matter what. So with him, we're really just looking for teams that have a hole at wide receiver that he would slide in and be able to get targets with. And in this pick 18 range, there are a ton of great teams that have holes at wide receiver. We have the Dolphins at 18 and 26, the Raiders at 19, the Jags at 20, the Eagles at 21, the Vikings at 22, and the Vikings at 25, and the Patriots at 23. I think Justin Jefferson on any one of these teams would excel, and he would be great for your dynasty team. And what's funny about Justin Jefferson is looking at this range, I don't see any bad landing spots for him. Obviously, there are a couple obvious bad landing spots, but I don't think that those spots are even thinking about taking Justin Jefferson just because they have holes elsewhere, and wide receiver would kind of be a luxury pick at that point. So the dream scenario is Justin Jefferson to Philadelphia at 21, but I'm not sure if he makes it that far. I love Justin Jefferson. If you have a rookie draft before the NFL draft, I would definitely be going out and trying to target him. Now, at 26, we have one of the biggest risers of this offseason, and that is Denzel Mims. And lucky for Denzel Mims, at the end of the first round, I also just see a lot of good spots. I don't really see many places that I'd be lowering him down in my rankings. I mean, the 2 bad spots that stand out to me are the 49ers again at 31 for reasons I already mentioned, and the Titans at 29. I think the Titans are a sneaky team to go out and take a wide receiver just because they don't really have holes anywhere on this roster. And I could see them saying, Corey Davis is dust. We need to fill that hole, especially when Corey Davis is off the team next year. So let's go out, take a wide receiver in a deep special class and take Denzel Mims at 29. Now, this would obviously be bad just because this team is so run heavy and they're going to lean on A.J. Brown when they do pass the ball. So I don't know the volume that Denzel Mims would be able to command in Tennessee. But there are a lot of good spots. Again, we see the Vikings at 25, the Dolphins at 26, the Ravens at 28, and the Packers at 30. Any of these picks would be fantastic for Denzel Mims, and this is another reason why I'm excited for him in Dynasty rookie drafts. I'm a lot more excited after making this video and looking at these potential landing spots than I was before. Now, T. Higgins at 31. T. Higgins is a very interesting wide receiver. I think he prototypes just as something that the NFL is moving away from. He would have been a very good wide receiver prospect 10 years ago, but now I think the NFL teams are going to lean more towards that Henry Ruggs prototype. So it's hard to find good fits for T. Higgins, but we have the Colts at 34, the Giants at 38, Miami at 26 or 39, and then, again, the same bad spots I was talking about earlier. The 49ers at 31, the Titans at 29, and a sneaky bad spot that I know some people may get excited about, but that is Cincinnati at 33. The problem with Cincinnati is A.J. Green's there, Tyler Boyd's there, and John Ross is there. I don't know if T. Higgins will be able to crowd out any of those three wide receivers anytime soon. So I would really not like the spot at 33, even though people would hype it up because of the pairing with Joe Burrow. But that's going to be it. I think tomorrow I may make a running back video for this kind of same style, looking at realistic outcomes for these players in the NFL draft and trying to determine what it would do for their dynasty value. But if y'all enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe, make sure you leave it a like, and yeah, thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.